Hello everyone, Dust here, and welcome to this Hearthstone update video. There's been a few exciting changes, obviously, that I'm sure most of you have seen on the Battle.net page, to a few cards that have kind of clogged up the meta and annoyed a few people. So these changes, I'm pretty excited for, but I just wanted to give out my 2 cents on each card's nerf here, so let's get right into it. First up, we have Execute here. We're just seeing a mana cost increase, which is quite a common theme across these changes. As we know, mana is everything in this game, and if you increase the cost of something, you reduce the tempo. And that's what's going to happen to this card, I feel. We see Execute, it's been good enough to run in the control lists, which it still will be, I feel, but in the aggro lists as well, because it's been so efficient as removal. Like when Silence is now coined up at 3 mana, playing an Execute where you can just get through a taunt rather than silencing off, you could destroy it completely. It's just been way too efficient, so I think that this call and leaving Shield Slam at 1 mana is the right call. I think that aggro lists will drop this, especially when you're seeing stuff like Slam, which is the 2 mana deal 2 damage if it survives, draw a card. I feel like that would be replaced from the Execute here. And I feel like, yeah, you just can't fit this in as much as an aggro deck, because you're going to have to be paying 2 mana, so if you're going to do Ravaging Ghoul, that's going to be a 5 mana combo, which is going to be, pretty expensive. And the beauty with Execute when it was at 1 mana is that you could execute something and still play something relatively fighting for the curve. So if you turn 3, you can play Execute and you can play your Fairy Dragon or something, for example. And if you're 4 mana, you can play that and your Ravaging Ghoul, or you can play your Fierce Monkeys, etc, etc. And it was just too much. Now it's going to be, really extensive. Like on turn 4, if you're doing that in a Fairy Dragon, a 3/2 isn't going to compare with what your opponent that might be playing a control list could throw up, or if they're doing an aggro list, 4 mana 7/7, yada yada. But I think that's a good change, and I think we're going to see it disappear from aggro and stay in control. I think it's a good place for Execute. So yeah, I think that's a good change, and it's fair because it's the base set that's going to be permanent in for standard from now on, so we won't see any like Execute shenanigans in the future. It hasn't killed the card. I just think it's made it for its intended purpose. So I'll move on here to Call of the Wild. This has been one of my least favourite cards to come up against. If you see me play, it's Hunter is the bane of my existence. So this going to 9 mana is an incredibly big deal for me. You already have the savings of Call of the Wild, because Call of the Wild is just 3 animal companions, except you're getting fixed. You're getting 1 of each rather than 3 huffers from 3 animal companions. But they haven't combine the cost. So Call of the Wild is great value because you had 3 3-mana cards that was put into 1 8-mana card. So you was already getting a saving for playing all the 3, and you didn't have to play 3 cards. So it was just an insane card. I still think at 9, I think they could push this to 10 because it has dramatic impact when it comes into the board, which is what all 10 drops that are played do. Yoxeron. And so I'm glad that this change happened, but I think it might even go to a 10 in the future. The most important thing here is that Call of the Wild was often used as a finisher, so that being delayed a turn is something that hunters might not be able to afford, because often on Call of the Wild I felt like I could have killed them that turn if they didn't have a Call of the Wild. So hopefully then this will show some improvements and some extra losses for the hunter. The hunters that oppose me. But again, super happy with this change, and I think we'll have to test to see if it's enough. Personally would like to see it to 10, but I'm not a massive hunter player myself, so I can I can scream the nerf hammer all I want, but I'm glad it's hit this card. We'll move on to Charge. This is a card I've very rarely experienced. The only time I've experienced is when it's been against me in a combo deck, and I think this is something that Blizzard has always been keen to keep on the low. They haven't really liked combo decks, and so they've gone through variant instances of nerfing Charge, but they've left it alone for quite some time because it's quite expensive for the effect it gives. But what they've done now is truly killed the card. You cannot afford to play this. This is you would just rather play like an Execute, because it's give a friendly minion charge, it can't attack heroes this turn, which is the biggest thing. I mean, you can't use that and then play Silence, because it's just obviously you're going to lose the charge, and it's like a removal spell, but you've got Shield Slams, you've got Executes, you've got Rules, and this isn't effective enough. This is taking up 1 of your 30 cards. It doesn't give you any tempo because it's only to minions, so you can't use it aggressively, and a control deck would not play this. So for me, this card is absolutely kaput. But I just you can't really do anything with it. charge mechanics is a mechanic that's being slowly phased out, and this has just absolutely been crushed. But you know, I'm glad the combo warrior decks we've seen with like Frost Giant in charge or the Raging Morgan, it's healthy that that's gone, because now you might be able to play some value decks and not be scared of combo. But yeah, that's just, well, that card's dead. We'll move on to the Shaman cards. Obviously everyone knows that they've been hit quite hard, including this guy, Tuskar Totemic. Instead of summoning any random totem, it's any random basic totem. So you're getting a 0-2 or a 1-1 of stats, rather than, you know, getting the 3-4, or the one I found that came up really often was the Mana Tide. And that's really strong, playing a 3 mana 3-2 and then getting a 0-3 body with drawing a card. It's pretty insane, and it's won a lot of games from that. So this card being changed is crazy. It's healthy that it's been changed, but I mean, just in terms of seeing the Shaman meta game, Tuskar Totemic for me has replaced Feral Spirit, because it didn't have any overload, and it had the chance to be unfair, and in Constructed, if you can play something unfair, that's what you need to be played, so you can just win the games. So this is a good change. I'm sure this will be really well received by the community, but I think for me, Tuskar Totemic is definitely going to see a removal from the Shaman decks. I think it's just gonna the Feral Spirits will creep back in, and then you're dealing with a lot more overload in your aggro Shaman lists. But I think it's removed a lot of the utility for this card. Well, obviously, because you can't go, oh look, I'm going to get a Totem Golem, and Witch Doctor hasn't really seen a lot of play because it can only summon the basic totems. But I think you're going to see more of the Spirit Claws, the 1-3 weapon with spell damage, and this can give you more chance for spell damage because it's focusing on the basics. So you've got 1 in 20, a 25% chance rather than the 1 in 7 chance that it has been previously. I don't think it's killed off completely, but obviously it's reduced massively in its usefulness, and I think it will disappear from Constructed almost instantly as soon as this patch comes live. So let's move on to the Rockbiter. Again, here we've got a mana increase. And it's a big one on this, because you've got the give a friendly character +3 attack this turn, and like the Tuskar Totemic, it doesn't have overload, so it's got Lightning Bolt to its counterpart, and Lightning Bolt is like a 2 mana deal 3 damage because you get overloaded the next turn, which is a massive deal. However, with this card going up to 2 mana, this card I feel like will be really unplayable, because this you play it on turn 1 or something. If you was up against a mage and they put a Mana Worm, it's really effective removal. That's why this card was plaguing a lot of games, because then if you have it later on, you can save it with your Doom Hammer and deal 10 damage burst to your opponent's face, or 16 if you had both. But now that's going to be the only real utility for this card, and that's going to be a 7 mana combo, and at that point it just needs, it's unviable. I think this card will be quickly thrown out of the meta as well, replaced with Lightning Bolt, and people will have to take the extra overload. But yeah, this card is Ripperoonie. See you later, Rockbiter. And we'll move on to the last one. This one I think has been it's been in my mind for a long period of time, and that is the Abusive Sergeant, going from 1 mana 2-1 to 1 mana 1-1. The thing behind this card is that it had the +2 attack, which is like a spell, and that is amazing. Like if that was a 1 mana spell, given a minion +2 attack this turn, it would almost pass, because it's got like the charge, +2 attack, and now it's got the minion body as well. But going down to a 1-1, it's still useful. The only thing you're going to see disappear from Abusive Sergeant is like the Hunter lists and Shaman lists. I feel like that will go, because the 1-1, it's somewhat useful, but if you've got stuff like Argent Squire, which is just stickier, it's a lot better. And here you can't just play it on turn 1. You need it for the effect. The effect is still really good. I still think this is going to be played in Zoo. I'd still play it in Zoo, because its comparison that I always said was great in Zoo was Dark Iron Dwarf, which is a 4 mana 4-4, so it's below curve. The reason why Abusive Sergeant was so good and received a nerf is because it's got the 1 mana. It did have the 1 mana stat line of 3 points of stats plus a little effect, but this had a big effect. So you had the body plus like a 1 mana effect basically, and Dark Iron Dwarf is below, because you normally get 9 stats of 4 mana and it's got 8. But yeah, it's still a solid card. This will only be to control, because the reason why Leper Gnome disappeared is the 2-1 stats the body could trade, and the Death Rattle would deal 2 damage to your opponent's face, so that's why Hunters played it and Zoo never played Leper Gnome. But like here, Hunters are not going to be playing Abusive Sergeant anymore, and Shaman may be one, but I really think they're going to consider it. But with Zoo, it's still fantastic because you use it to trade up, and if you just have bodies on the board, it is great for great for Zoo. So I think this card still is going to, you're still going to see this in Warlock lists, but I think that's pretty much going to be it for now until we see some, maybe more deck types. But that is just going to be it for me. Just kidding. Who could forget the Oxyron? The Oxyron hasn't actually changed, so there's nothing to show you here, but the Oxyron is exactly the same. It's just the way it works that's changed. If the Oxyron destroys itself, or if it silences itself or removes itself from the game, either comes back to your hand or gets destroyed, it stops casting spells. So they're hoping that this would end it. The thing with the Oxyron is that it's been used in deck lists that don't have a great form of removal, like Druid for example, and they are often looking at it they're playing it from behind and they want to destroy opponent's board. And the Oxyron, if it gets destroyed, it often impacts your opponent's board, and I think that's a gamble people still would take with Druid, just because you don't have that board clear. So I think that's still going to be played in Druid, and people will just roll the dice and take the gamble. Obviously in classes maybe like Warrior or like Mage, where you've been using it to get some more value, like hoping it casts a Thought Steal. It's just not going to happen, I don't think. So I think that's going to be cut from those lists and replaced with like Archmage and hope for like the greed value from it. But I think we're still going to see some Yoxaron. I would still play in Druid, but we'll see. We'll see what it's like post-patch. But obviously the power level of it has been somewhat destroyed. But that is just my take on the cards. What do you guys think? Let me know down below. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time. Peace out.